Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So it is that time again. It is time for me to do my what I bought versus what I read for the month of March. And I kind of went a little crazy with the book buying this month. I had a lot of crazy things happen to me this month, and it was very heartbreaking and sad. And so I ended up kind of using that as an excuse to buy more books. So yeah, I have a lot of books to get through, both that I bought as well as I read. I did read 6 books this month, and so yeah, let's just go ahead and jump right on into it. All right, so first up, let's talk about the sequels that I got. 2 of these are sequels from February, and then one of them is a book that I read this month, which will be kind of a spoiler for one of the books that I read this month. So I did get the last 2 books in the ACOTAR series, A Court of Frost and Starlight, as well as A Court of Silver Flames. I finished the 3rd book in the ACOTAR series in February. So I got this, I think, on March 1st. So I have these now in my collection, and I'm very excited to read them. I hear that they have different narrators than the first 3 books, so I'm really excited to kind of see what they're all about, and yeah, very excited. My other sequel that I got is Heartless, which is the 2nd book in the Chestnut Springs series, so that's kind of an idea of what I will probably, it's probably going to be a little bit of a spoiler of one of the books that I read this month. So yeah, I am very excited to read this book. So all the other books that I have are either the first book in a series or they are standalones that I have. So let's just go ahead and jump right on into it. All right, so Target was doing a buy 2 get 1 free sale. So along with Heartless, I also got If I Go Missing by Leslie Wolfe. I'm very excited to read this. I've never heard of this book before, and my grandmother was kind of also looking for a book, and she really likes thrillers and mysteries. So when I saw this on the shelf, we both decided that it sounded really good, and I'm very excited to read it. From what I saw with the back kind of description, it looks like very interesting as well as kind of like messy. So we'll see. I also got When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. And this is a book that I've been wanting for a really long time. And I was debating if I wanted to get the paperback or the hardcover because they had both. And I decided to get the hardcover because it doesn't look as thick and it does have these beautiful light blue sprayed edges. And I am a sucker for a sprayed edge. I love the sprayed edge trend. I know that's kind of controversial, but I love it. So I'm very excited to get this. This is a book that I've been wanting for a really long time, and yeah, very excited to eventually read this, and yeah, I'm very excited. Okay, so I went on several different trips to Barnes & Noble this month because, like I said, I just had a lot of stuff going on, and I just wanted to buy a lot of books. So the first book that I have here is a new release this year. It is called The Other March Sisters, and it has 3 different authors, Linda Epstein, Ali Malininko, and Liz Parker. So Liz Parker is the author of In the Shadow Garden, which is a book that I have both read and reread, and she was one of the first authors that kind of, you know, liked any of my posts or commented on any one of my videos on Bookish social media, so she has a special place in my heart. So of course I had to get her new release, and then she has a book that is just her that is coming out I think the day after my birthday in October, which I'm really excited about. So yeah, very excited to eventually read this. I'm trying to read more new releases this year, so I feel like this is definitely going to help with that. Right, next up, we have River Sing Me Home by Eleanor Shearer. I'm so sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, or any author on here if I pronounced their name wrong. I have a book journal and I have a little bingo thing on there, and I got a bingo, so I used it as an excuse to buy a book. So I just randomly picked one off of my wish list, and this was it. And I don't really remember what this is about, but it sounds very interesting, and it's a more diverse read, which is obviously very good. I feel like we all should try to have a more diverse bookshelf and more diverse reading, kind of that. Anyway, very excited to get this and see what it's all about. And I had a couple of other books that I've been really wanting, but I could never find them in store, so I did just order them. So I got Darkwater Daughter by H.M. Long, as well as Little Thieves by Margaret Owen. These are two books that I kept seeing on Emma Skies. She's at it again, making me wanting to buy books. So this is two books that I keep seeing on her page over and over and over and over again, and I was just like, I want these, and I could never find them in stores, so I just ordered them online, and now they're mine, and I'm very excited to read them, especially Darkwater Daughter, because I've been kind of in a pirate phase lately, which you'll see here in a little bit. So I'm really excited to get to this one. All right, next up, I did pick up another V.E. Schwab book. I did get Gallant by V.E. Schwab. I have a lot of V.E. Schwab books, but I've only ever read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I'm trying to get to her other books, and this one just sounds very interesting and involves like a haunted house, like a mystery, and that is been right up my alley. I'm a sucker for like haunted house mystery type of thing. It kind of takes me back to my Scooby-Doo days. So very excited for this. I feel like it's going to be very interesting. I love V.E. Schwab's writing, so very excited to get to this eventually. I'm sorry if you can hear my dog barking. Next up, we have All Our Hidden Gifts by Caroline O'Donoghue. And this is a book that I just found out about very recently, within like the last couple of months. And it's basically about this girl who finds a thing of tarot cards in her school, and she decides to do tarot readings with her friends, including her ex-best friend, if I remember correctly. And then I think her ex-best friend ends up disappearing, or somebody ends up disappearing, and she needs to like solve what happens. But it sounded very interesting to me. I'm very excited to read this, and I also really like the cover. I think it's very good. And look how big this book is. It's bigger than my head. Oh my gosh. And then I picked up Mortal Follies by Alexis Hall. This I think is just a fun romance. It's set in the 1800s, which is fun. Again, don't really remember what this is about, but I do remember that I really did like it when I first heard about it. And I had some reward money at Barnes & Noble, and so I was able to get quite a bit of a discount. So I saw this, and I really never see this in Barnes & Noble ever, so I just decided to pick it up. Then we have The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah, and this is a book that has been on my wish list for a very, very long time. Like, I have been wanting to get this book for so long, and I finally was able to get it over the course of this month, and I was so excited. I'm very excited to read this again because it's been so long. I don't really remember what it's about, and it's another very big book. Like, again, it's bigger than my head. What is going on? But yeah, very excited. Really love the cover. It kind of gives me Aladdin vibes. I don't think it has any, it is an Aladdin like vibes kind of book though, if I remember correctly. I could be totally wrong about that, but yeah, very excited. And then last but not least, for books that I got this month, is The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. This is a book that I have been wanting for a very, very long time. So again, I think it was I was able to get like 2 books because I think like it was like a discount going on. I don't really even remember. So I got it, and I'm very excited to finally read this. And I just realized that there are a couple of other books that I forgot to grab, so I'm gonna go grab those. My last book is An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. This is a book that I've kind of seen on Book Talk kind of every once in a while. It's not a huge Book Talk book, but it sounded really interesting, so I decided to grab it, and I didn't realize it wasn't that big of a book. It's actually pretty short, so very excited to read this. So those are all of the books I think that I bought in the month of March. Like I said, I kind of went very crazy with the book buying thing this month, so now let's talk about the books that I actually read this month. So the first book that I read in March is That's Not My Name by Megan Lally. This is a book that I saw like once on a book talker that I absolutely love. Her name's Mercedes. She also has a booktube channel, and she read this a while ago. I think it was last year at some point, and she really loved it, and when I heard about the concept, it like was right up my alley, so I decided to grab it, and then I finally read this. I read this on Audible, and I loved it. I think I flew through this book in like a lot, like pretty quickly. Basically it's about these two people. There's two different narrators. One is a girl who wakes up in a ditch somewhere, has no idea who she is, what her name is, like how she got there, what's going on, and she gets found by police, and then a man comes up and tells the police that she's, you know, his daughter, and then the story kind of just goes from there. And then there's another narrator by the name of Drew, and Drew's girlfriend Lola has gone missing, and everybody in town thinks he has something to do with it. So he is not only trying to prove his innocence, but he's also trying to you know, find her. So it's very interesting because, of course, at the very beginning they're two very different stories, but then as the story progresses they become more connected, and then there's this crazy plot twist at the end of it, and the ending actually packs a very emotional punch. And even though it's not my favorite thriller of all time, I think it could have been a little bit more exciting and a little bit more intense. I still really enjoyed this. I really loved the plot twist at the end of this, and I do still recommend it. I did enjoy the audiobook. I thought both of the narrators in the audiobook did a really great job. So really enjoyed this book, and yeah, I liked this one. The next book that I read, I don't have a physical copy of, and I tried to find it on my Kindle, and my Kindle's being slow, so anyway. So the next book that I read is called Across the Enchanted Border by Corinne Claxton, and it is a book that I read through NetGalley as an ARC, although it did get released while I was reading it, so just be aware that it is already out now. And it is a book about this woman by the name of Skylar, I believe. And Skylar is a butch warrior in this land that you know, she lives somewhere that she can be who she wants to be. She can go by whatever pronouns she wants, and all is well and good. Well, she gets set on this assignment, and she ends up crossing this border to this place, I believe called Albane. And Albane is pretty much the total opposite. It's very much a place where they have very strict, you know, like you're a man or you're a woman, and everything like that. And there's a lot of corruption going on. And throughout all of this, she meets people along the way that just, you know, help her through so much. And it's, yeah. So this book was very good. I did enjoy especially kind of the found family element, because I am a sucker for found family, but I wasn't a huge fan of this book. I think I ended up giving it like 3 or 3.5 stars. Oh, and I forgot to mention that I gave That's Not My Name 4 stars, I believe, so in case you were wondering. So I wasn't a huge fan of this book, not because it was bad, it's just it was missing a lot of depth. It was missing the why in a lot of things, because there was a lot of corruption and stuff going on in both the land that Skylar is from, as well as the land that she ends up going into, but we never really find out why this corruption exists and kind of what started it and why it's getting so bad. As well as when they finally go back to where they came from, there's all of a sudden this corrupted leader, but we don't know why they got corrupted and what the story is there. It was just, there was a lot of plot holes, and there was just something missing about it. There was a lot of explanation that I felt like we really needed, and we just weren't getting it. And so, yeah, I feel like this book could have been a lot better, but it just wasn't. It just wasn't better. I believe the next book that I finished, I think that it's this one, is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. Did I start this book on New Year's Eve and just finished it this month? Yes, I did. It's fine. But I did annotate this book. So annotating books always takes me forever. So yeah. So this is a romance book, and we follow Macy and Elliot. And it's kind of their story of both past and present, and it's a friends to lovers romance. It's a second chance romance. You're going back and forth to kind of figure out, you know, what happened, because we find out that Macy and Elliot in present day haven't talked to each other for like 10 plus years. And over the course of this book, we find out why. And I really enjoyed this book. I think I ended up giving this 4.5 stars. The main thing that was kind of tripping me up was the whole why, what happened to Elliot and what kind of caused them all to fall apart. I feel like it wasn't really discussed very well. It was like, oh yeah, this happened. Oh yeah, I forgive you. And if you know what happened, you're like, I feel like we need to have more of a conversation than that. You know? I don't know. But I really loved their story. I thought they had such a sweet romance. And I loved both Macy and Elliot as characters. I thought they were fantastic. And I love this book. And as you can see, I did annotate it quite a bit. And there's a lot of really cute moments in there, a lot of fun moments in there. And again, I just thought this was it was such a fun book, and I really do recommend it, especially if you're looking for something that's like friends to lovers or second chance romance or anything like that. I feel like this is such an amazing vibe. And I am jealous of Macy's book closet. If you know, you know. I'm jealous. I wish. So, yeah. I believe this is the next book that I read, and that is Flawless by Elsie Silver. I told you guys that this book was probably going to pop up. Yes, I did read the first book in the Chestnut Springs series, and this was my first 5-star read. And I'm realizing that I finished this before I finished Love in Other Words. But you know what? It's fine. I don't really care. It's really not that big of a deal. But anyways, yes, this was my first 5-star read of this year. I am a very slow mood reader. Like, even audiobooks, which are my fastest way of reading, usually still takes me 2 or 3 weeks. I devoured this in 6 days. 6 days. Like, it was so good. It's about this bull rider by the name of Rhett Eaton, and he has a bad publicity moment, and his boss decides to have his daughter Summer kind of look after him and make sure that he's behaving before this big bull riding championship that's happening. And it's a romance, so of course they fall in love. But it's just the way that Rhett talks about Summer and the way he absolutely worships her. There were so many moments where I was just like sitting there listening to the audiobook, and I was like, oh my god, this man, what? Yeah. And then the spice. Yes, this is a very spicy book. So if you like spice, you're gonna love this book. And if you definitely, and yes, it's a cowboy romance, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna like a cowboy romance, but you know what? Like, is it my favorite trope of all time? No. But I still enjoyed this. I thought that it was very good. I'm very excited to read the rest of the series. Like you guys saw, I have already gotten the second book in the series, Heartless. So very excited to read that book eventually. But yeah, great book. 5 stars. Loved this. Loved this. If you want a book that will make you blush, this is it. All right, and then the next book that I read, which is actually, yeah, the next book I did read is Emerald of the Sea by Kimberly Pearl. This is the first book of I think it's just a duology, and it is a pirate book, and it was another 5-star read. I knew when I read this that this was going to be a 5-star. It was so good. I'm not a pirate book girly. I don't usually gravitate towards that, but not only have I read this and I love it, but now I'm reading another pirate book, which you will probably see in my April wrap-up video. And yeah, this book was excellent. It was so good. Again, we have 2 different narrators. We have Emma, who has been living on a pirate ship since she was 5 years old. She's been pretty much hidden from the world, and she's been kind of told like there are people that are after you, and she doesn't really know why. And then her ship that she's been on pretty much gets overtaken, and she ends up escaping and befriends a boy by the name of Charlie. And it's kind of her figuring out who she is, as well as just kind of escaping, like, you know, the dangers that she has, and just kind of figuring out what's going on and like why things are happening. And then we also have another character that is our narrator by the name of Maggie, who falls in love with a boy. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Hugo? Yeah, I think his name is Hugo. And it's pretty much Hugo and Maggie, and it's pretty much a friends to lovers trope. They grew up together, and Maggie has to go away for a while for finishing school, but then they reconnect when they become young adults. And yeah, their relationship is so cute. But then something happens to them when Maggie, goes away, and Hugo ends up disappearing. And then at the end of this book, you're realizing that both Maggie and Emma are very connected, and Hugo may still be around. So very excited to read the second book in this duology. Again, I loved this so much. This was just a random book that I picked, for my Kindle, and I'm so glad that I read it because it's so good, and I feel like more people need to read about it. Yeah. If you like pirates, if you like romance, if you like action, if you like amazing, strong female main characters, this is a great book for that. Up for books that I read this month, this is actually a book that I just finished last night at like 11:30 at night, so made it just in time, and that is The Chain by Adrienne McKenty. This did take me about 2 months to finish. Yeah. I have tried my hardest to get back down to only reading 1 or 2 books at a time, because at one point this year I was reading like 5 or 6 books, and it was just getting to be too overwhelming for me. And I've realized that whenever I do that, there's always books that get really pushed to the side, and unfortunately this was one of those books that I just never really picked up. And so I finally was able to finish it last night, and I'm very glad that I did. But please, please, please check your trigger warnings and content warnings for this book, because it is very intense. There is violence involved. There's, stuff involving children that are involved. Nothing crazy, but just if you feel like you're going to get triggered by anything, just please, do yourself a favor and just check. So this is The Chain by Adrienne McKenty, and it is basically about this system where your child gets kidnapped, and then you get this phone call that says, hey, my child is also kidnapped, and in order to get my child back, I had to kidnap your child, so now your job is you have to kidnap another child so I can get my child back. And it just goes on and on and on. So in our book, this character's name is Rachel, and her child Kylie has gotten kidnapped. And it is not only going through the experience of her, Kylie getting kidnapped and her actually going through the chain, but then also realizing what the chain is and trying to stop it. And this was a very intense book. I think this is probably one of the most intense books I've ever read, ever. But I thought it was really good. It was a little much at times, I will admit. You know, because like I said, you're dealing with something that is very hard, and it is a very interesting look at what somebody will do for their loved ones and what lengths they will go, you know, to help them, as well as, what, how bad people can become in order to help, loved ones, and just the sick and twisted mind of certain people. And it was brutal, it was crazy, it was intense, but I still would recommend this to people, especially if you are a thriller lover, if you love books that are just keep you on the edge of your seat, anything along those lines. I think that this would be a great book for that. But like I said, please check your trigger warnings and your content warnings, because this does go into some very dark and twisted places. And I have to give props to Adrian McKenty for creating such realistic characters, because I do feel like everybody that is involved with this book that had to go through this whole experience had very realistic kind of, repercussions of this happening to them. Because whenever we, talk about, whether it be a book, a TV show, or even a true life case, we never really hear about what happened afterwards, what happened after this traumatic event. And a lot of times it's not good. And people's mental health deteriorate, their physical health deteriorates, and it's hard. And I really appreciate Adrian for letting us kind of see that. And I really appreciate him, or I think it's a boy. I think he's a guy. I think. Anyway, I really appreciate Adrian for letting us see a glimpse of that, because it just, I think, made everything so much more real, and, just made things just so interesting, I guess. Oh my God. So that concludes my March, what I bought versus what I read. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. The sun did actively set as I was making this video, so sorry about that. And again, I know you could probably hear my dog barking, but it's fine. But yeah, thank you guys all so much for watching. I will see you guys for my next video, whenever that may be. And yeah, I cannot promise that I'm not going to buy this many books again this next month. We'll see. I'm gonna try not to, but I can't promise anything, so yeah. Anyways, guys, thank you guys so much, and I will see you guys later.